Good evening and welcome. My name is Noshin Popet, and I'm a member of the IBNG committee under the Aga Khan Economic Planning Board for the UAE and the region. On behalf of the chairman and the IBNG committee, I would like to welcome you all today and thank you for taking the time out from your schedules to join us during these unprecedented times. We encourage everyone to take part in as many weekly webinars in the series as possible. We hope that they will help you navigate the current economic environment. We would also like to inform you that there is a lot of information out there that keeps changing. Therefore, the opinions and views expressed by our panelists are their personal views and are intended to be shared with members of the Smiley community. As you know, today's focus is on creating a high impact profile on LinkedIn. With all interactions going virtual, we all need to rely more and more on virtual platforms to deliver our brand, whether it is our companies or ourselves. Whilst there is significant following on LinkedIn, we would like to emphasize that you ensure your presence is on several different social media platforms that are available to you. When it comes to showcasing your brand, connecting with others, and building professional relationships, one of the most important and credible platforms, without a doubt, is LinkedIn. What do you most likely do when you're considering working with a new company or with new people, or reaching out to prospective clients? You Google them first, right? Well, guess what? They are either going to Google you or they will check out your LinkedIn profile. Your LinkedIn profile is what will show up at the top of search results when someone is looking to learn about you. So it is more important now than ever before that your profile stands out. Today's webinar will explore how to build a strong LinkedIn profile, followed by a question and answer session and a closing note. We urge all of you to use the Q&A button on your screen to type and send in any relevant questions you may have. We shall try our best to answer as many questions as possible, time and relevance permitting. Thank you once again for joining us. I am now delighted to introduce our two panelists for today who are joining us all the way from the US. Our first panelist is Ali Khan Samji. Professionally, Ali Khan has almost 20 years of experience in the hospitality industry. He studied international hospitality management from universities in Kenya and Switzerland. He has owned and started various companies and currently owns a French cafe and a travel agency in Chicago. Ali Khan volunteers for the Smiley Professional Network and oversees a few different initiatives in the USA. Ali Khan has helped build teams that are able to deliver the best customer service with a human touch while creating value for the business. He is particularly skilled in scaling existing businesses and improving customer service scores by utilizing employee training and people development strategies. Next, I would like to introduce Kamil Maknegia. Professionally, Kamil is a co-founder of a medical device company called Jackson Medical, where he serves as a chief operating officer and Vice President of Clinical Development. Based out of Atlanta, Georgia, Kamil primarily helps bridge the patient safety needs of healthcare with innovative medical technologies. Kamil also volunteers as a career service lead, managing and executing programs centered around career and professional development. Thank you, Ali Khan and Kamil, for dialing in all the way from the US, and I'm sure it's rather early in the morning there. I'm now going to hand over to Ali Khan and Kamil to take us forward.
So thank you for the introduction, and it's actually almost noon here, so it's not too early. Um, we really appreciate everybody, showing up for this webinar. And, I'm going to basically walk you through how to create a standout profile. And I did see from the polls, a lot of people do have a LinkedIn profile, but they use it not so much for education. They use it more, for networking, and they don't use it for sales. So there's a lot you can do with a LinkedIn profile. So I'm going to jump right in. Next slide, please. So LinkedIn has more than 500 million users, which is a lot of users. So it's basically that's a lot of professionals. So if you think about it, you're competing with 500 million or more professionals every time you log on. So it's very competitive, but you can network with so many people. If you have a business, you can promote your business. It just depends on what you want to do with your profile. So let's go ahead and move to the next slide. It's a lot of competition that you're dealing with, and I'm gonna basically show you the reason that you need a LinkedIn profile. First thing, I think a resume is important, but I think a LinkedIn profile, no matter what industry, what you do, how you do, I think you definitely need a LinkedIn profile. So the three things that I'm going to cover are basically how to be found by recruiters if you're looking for a new job, how to be noticed by recruiters, how to demonstrate your experience, and also how to talk about how to market your business. So when you demonstrate your experience, you appeal to recruiters. You also appeal to people that want to do business with you. Under these three categories, we're going to cover how to use keywords for your LinkedIn profile, basically optimize your headline, the summary, and it's all about keywords. With any LinkedIn profile, if you don't have the right keywords, you're not going to stand out. One of the most important things I've noticed is also a picture. You need to have the right cover and profile picture. Usually people have pictures, different pictures. It has to be very professional. If you can get a professional picture, it would be great. You also want to use a custom LinkedIn profile URL. You always want to have a URL that ends with your first and last name. Sometimes the URLs are very long, and it's not going to get you noticed by recruiters, but if your name is there, it's definitely going to get you noticed. You also want to join LinkedIn groups. There's different skill sections. So we will be covering all of this in detail. One of the most important things about LinkedIn is if you want to get noticed is to be an active contributor. You want to like posts, you want to add comments. So you also want to like posts and add comments that make sense or appeal to recruiters or are part of your industry. You don't just want to share anything on your page. You want to share a feed that makes sense and that somebody will say, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. Demonstrating your experience, you want to talk about everything you have achieved. You want to be active. You want to follow influencers. You want to list your ongoing activities, and you want to highlight what's applicable for you. Next slide, please. So one of the most important things I think is how to customize your LinkedIn URL. So the best way to do it would be to click on the Me section. After you click on the View Profile, and once you click View Profile, you want to click Edit URL. Once you do that, you'll be able to type in exactly what you'll be typing basically your first and last name, and then you can save changes. And this is very important. As I said, if you do send your LinkedIn URL to a recruiter and it says, https://www.linkedin. And it has 15 million other words, nobody's going to look at it. But if it has Ali Khan Samji or it has Kamil, it's going to definitely stand out. Next slide, please. So another very important thing is to let recruiters know that you're open to jobs. So what you would want to do is log into your LinkedIn, click on the Me button, go to settings and privacy, and you would want to turn on, let recruiters know you're open to opportunities. If you don't have this turned on, you don't show up in searches if you are looking for a job. So it is very important that you turn this on. These are the first two things you should do. And once you've created your LinkedIn profile, these two things are very important. Your customized URL and your open candidates feature. This tells anyone and everyone who's a recruiter who types in, let's say, hospitality management, that you're looking for a job, because you will show up. You will show up in their searches, and based on the keywords, you'll show up. So these are two things I can't stress highly, that these are definitely very important for you to take care of. Next slide, please.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you all for jumping on this call. Thanks, Ali, for getting this started. What you'll see in the next couple of slides, and actually the series of the slides that are coming up, it's all kind of centered around recruiters if you are looking for a job. But one of the big reasons you want to have a LinkedIn profile is to be found, not only by recruiters, but by others on LinkedIn as well. So if you are looking for a job, if you are looking for to get connected to recruiters, or even outside of that, if you're looking to find business or other potential customers or business partners, the same fundamentals and principles apply across the board. And it really starts with keywords, as Ali mentioned. Keywords are essential throughout not only LinkedIn, but also other forms of social media as well. It's how people search for you. It's how they search for your profile and what you do. So for the first couple of bar charts here, you'll see search and gather. That's really identifying which keywords are most important in describing you the best. Easy enough. First thing you can do is use Google. Use these big search engines that have optimized how keywords are utilized to search for data and for profiles. And one thing you can do, especially if you're recruiting for positions, is look at job titles, look at job postings and the descriptions, and try to begin identifying what those keywords are. A really interesting technique is to use a word cloud. And so you can see a link for www.wordclouds.com. What I've done in many coaching sessions is I've invited people I work with to copy paste this job description into a word cloud to identify which keywords are showing up most frequently. And from there, you can begin identifying and selecting which keywords and analyzing which ones you want to use, which ones you want to optimize, which ones you want to refine and put onto your LinkedIn profile so you're better able to be found by the users of LinkedIn. Next slide, please. And part of these keywords you should definitely include in your headline. On the next slide, you'll see that the headline is one of the most important features of your LinkedIn profile. So imagine I'm not connected to you, and I want to search for someone who, in this particular situation, is a personal branding expert. If I type in personal branding expert, this is what I see. I see the name of the LinkedIn user. I see right in their headline, which is right underneath their name, that it says personal branding expert. And right there, there's total alignment between the users. We know that we want to connect, and we can take that connection forward from there. Next slide. So LinkedIn will automatically populate the headline based on your most current position or experience. Definitely take advantage of this opportunity to customize your LinkedIn profile. You want to stay short and concise with it, but definitely utilize those keywords that you've identified to really make you propel to the top of those search results within LinkedIn. Next slide, please. And when writing your headline, and as you'll see throughout the entire theme of this presentation, regardless of what you're doing on LinkedIn, keep your end user in mind. So if you are applying for jobs, if you're searching for jobs, you really want to get the attention of recruiters. So think about how recruiters are going to use LinkedIn. How are they going to search? What terms are they going to search for? And you want to make sure that your LinkedIn profile is aligned appropriately for that content. You want to make sure that your headline has compelling content, so that you're really sharing not only a little about you personally or professionally, but also a little bit about you personally as well. And ultimately, what you want to do is highlight proficiencies and skills that kind of highlight your keywords and your professional experience also. Next slide. The professional summary is is another key important feature of your LinkedIn profile. Imagine this as basically a snapshot of your entire professional or career journey. So you want to tell a story here. Keep in mind that in that first section, you do see that there's a little bit of a curtain where you can click show more to show a little bit more detail about your professional summary. So in that first paragraph, you really want to capture and really lead off strongly about what sets you apart, who you are, what you strive for. And on the next slide, we'll cover more of the details about what you should include in your summary. For example, explain your present role along with your past and what your future ambitions are. And definitely highlight and reveal some character personally as well, right? We don't want, in the industry, we're not looking to hire robots per se. We want people. We want people that have character, that have a great work ethic, and have some personality also. That's what makes it compelling to come into work. And how do you say it? This is also very important. A lot of times, people use very technical language here. I would say cut the jargon out. Use your keywords, but don't get too into the weeds of things, and write how you speak. There's no reason to be robotic or too formal here. Tell stories, and at the very end, ask for what you want, whether that's a recruiter to reach out to you for an interview, or whether it's for a potential business partner or a future business partner to contact you about partnering on your business. Always end with an ask. It's classic sales technique, and it applies here as well. Next slide, please. Your summary should be written in the first person, highlighting your major accomplishments. For certain members of the audience, there may be gaps in your work history. This is a great opportunity to address those gaps and to highlight what you did in those gaps when you weren't working professionally. Always try to tie it back into what your end goals are from a career and professional standpoint also. And as I mentioned early on, there is that little curtain or that fold. So keep in mind, whatever's showing up above there, you really want to make it count.
Okay, so moving on to the next section, be noticed by recruiters. Next slide, please. So choosing the right cover or profile photo. When you're choosing the right cover photo, there's a few things that you want to keep in mind. One is to use a high resolution stock photo that you have permission to use that is unique and represents you. Something that shows you working in the environment you want to be in, something that stands out to the people. Also, the file size should be no larger than 8 MB, and LinkedIn supports most of the accepted file types: PNG, JPG, GIF, and the photo size should be 1584 by 396 pixels. That's for your cover photo, and your cover and profile picture are very important. Your profile picture should at least take up 60 to 65% of the frame. And it has to be a picture where you are smiling, like a business-friendly picture, casual picture, but not somebody in shorts. That's just not gonna work. Also, the file size for that one should be no larger than 8 MB. Again, the same accepted file types, the PNG, JPG, GIF. Make sure to use those file types, and the dimensions should be 400 by 400 pixels. So if you look at this slide, this is the former CEO of LinkedIn, and this is a perfect example of the right cover picture and the right profile picture. Next slide, please. So be an active contributor, and we talked about that earlier. Basically, you want to react to all the posts that you think are applicable to you. If you do write your own posts and articles, write them for your company, be engaged, use relevant keywords, use hashtags that make sense. If you see something about, technology, you don't want to use a hashtag that says, at open jobs, if it's talking about a specific technology. And a lot of people do that, and it's not the smartest thing, because recruiters look at everything. And if you're looking for a job, or if you're trying to promote your business, people will look and see what you follow, from your LinkedIn profile to your Instagram to your Facebook. So do be very careful of what you share. Also, react appropriately to posts, comment appropriately, and share appropriately. Moving on to demonstrating your experience. So with demonstrating your experience, you always want to write the experience section in first person. And when you write about your experience, it should not just be did this, did this, did this. You want to tell a story. You want somebody to look at it and say, okay, this person came into this company, they were given a specific job. This is how they got to doing that job. This is the skill sets they used, and this is what they achieved. If you can highlight your accomplishments and achievements in all your experiences, you will have a better chance of getting hired. You don't just want to state facts that you have 85 skills. Okay, you have 85 skills, but what are you going to do with them? How are you going to show them? How are you going to stand out to a recruiter? You don't want them to think you're a robot. So treat your profile as a storytelling opportunity. And also tailor your LinkedIn profile on what kind of opportunity you're looking for. So as I said, problem, solution, results, and impact. The other thing that's very important and is highlighting volunteer or service work completed. If you do have gaps in your work history, using volunteer services and highlighting your skill set during those volunteer services is very important. So it really helps you. So people think volunteer service can't really be used. Well, if you're a project manager and you were let go and you can volunteer in your community and use your project management skills, if you list that, it shows that you were being proactive. And you were using your team management, your project management skills. And this is a very important part of your experience. Next slide, please. So groups and skills. If you're an accountant, if you're an IT person, if you're a hospitality person, become a member of one of the professional groups or follow one of the professional groups. If you are looking to join a particular company or you've applied to a particular company, try to follow that company or follow some groups that work with those companies. When you add skills to your LinkedIn profile, be very, very honest. If you cannot do the skill, don't add it there. If you can do the skill, definitely add, but if you cannot do it, don't add it because it will come back to you. So be very honest with that, and that will really, really, really help your profile. Also, LinkedIn has a feature that when you're on your profile, it says, prove your skills to recruiters. So they have skill quizzes that you can take to show how good you are at Word, Excel, PowerPoint. If you complete those, you can list that on your profile, and that really does help because when a recruiter looks you up, they say, oh, this person has the skill set, or if somebody's trying to hire you, they know you do have the skill set. Next slide, please. So when you add skills, as you can see here, add skills. There's so many skills that are based on your profile, but again, make sure you add skills that are relevant to your profile. So if you're into journalism, you would add journalism. If you're a marketing person, you could do, web content writing, content development, content production, publishing, Google Analytics, storytelling. But make sure it's applicable and you can prove that you can do it. If you do have the ability to sign up for LinkedIn Learning, you could learn some of these skills, get a certificate, and then you could list it. But make sure you can prove that you can actually do these skills. Next slide.
And as Ali mentioned, the skills are one of the key areas of LinkedIn where you can highlight what you know. Another part of this is for other people, other users on LinkedIn to highlight what they think of your skill set. This is where the recommendations and endorsements comes in. Very similar to what Ali talked about. You want to be honest and accurate here also. And what I actually strive for this section for my LinkedIn profile myself is to use this a little bit in moderation and in a minimalist fashion. Quality here is much more important than quantity. So instead of having 50 different skill sets or 50 different endorsements, if I have 5 or 10 that are really high quality with huge numbers of LinkedIn users that are endorsing me, that carries much more weight compared to having a huge breadth. So, as you continue to create your profile and maintain your profile, this is something you can continuously adjust, but keep in mind you want to maintain quality over quantity. Next slide. Following companies and influencers is a great way to get connected to other LinkedIn users, including recruiters and other users in general. As Ali mentioned, following professional groups is a great way to be able to connect to other like-minded people within your profession. Influencers are great. You have Ariana Huffington, you have Mark Cuban, you have all these great people, that are entrepreneurs or business leaders or thought leaders within your space. Follow them, get insights from them. LinkedIn is not only a place to network, it's a place to share content, to share industry insights. So take advantage of that opportunity, follow people that you resonate with from a career perspective and industry perspective, get those insights, relay it back to your job and your profession, and just be better. Next slide, please. In addition to the endorsements and managing your endorsements, all of these action items will help you grow your network. And one of the big things is also, if you're working for a company right now, you want to really immerse yourself with that company and their presence on LinkedIn. So if they share a company update on LinkedIn, or they've rolled out a new product to a new customer, be an employee advocate. So share that, like that post, add some comments to it saying congrats, or if they highlight a coworker of yours. You're now integrating yourself in with the brand of that company as well, which from a team morale perspective is very positive, and just makes you a better member of your company family also. Next slide. So LinkedIn has a base subscription, which is free. It's free to create a LinkedIn profile if you don't already have one. In addition to just your base level LinkedIn, LinkedIn Premium is if we're talking about a freemium model, it's the paid version of LinkedIn where you can get access to a number of different other features. For all LinkedIn accounts, there is a free 30-day trial of LinkedIn Premium. I highly suggest, if you are actively looking for a new job and you haven't taken advantage of this LinkedIn Premium free 30-day trial, to do so, because your interactions with the recruiters will be much more stronger. You'll be able to leverage more of LinkedIn's job searching tools, and it'll just be a better experience that can hopefully pay off with a new position. Next slide. Similarly, LinkedIn also has a learning platform called LinkedIn Learning. This is where you can see, if in any industry, in any job function, there are a number of skill courses, short videos, long format content also that's available on LinkedIn Learning for you to review and upskill and reskill, especially during these times of these challenging times we're all facing. It's important to be competitive, especially in this type of job market, so take advantage of LinkedIn Learning also. We are offering a 2-month free trial of LinkedIn Learning, and the link will be shared after this presentation. We've talked a lot about the LinkedIn profile and how it relates to you personally in your professional lives. For those of you who are business owners or would like to create a LinkedIn company profile page for your business, the next couple of slides will cover what those steps take and what you should keep in mind for that. Next slide. So very similar to setting up your own personal LinkedIn profile page, the company, you first need to set up your personal profile before you can set up a company profile, because it'll automatically add you as an administrator for that company page. But the setup is effectively the same. You want to make sure that you've got your company images are consistent with what marketing has outputted. So you want to make sure that your company logos are all the same, that your cover image really captures the essence of your business. That's very important also. And that overall that the company profile page has brand consistency with your overall brand. The company description, very similar to what you would find in your personal profile page with your professional summary. You want to quickly and very concisely talk about what your business does. Use those keywords, make it searchable. It's very important for this to be concise and straight and to the point. If there are any specific industry specialties or company specialties, this is a great area to add those keywords as well. With regards to company details, LinkedIn will ask you for an address or a phone number, contact information, etc. You want to add these details into your company page because it further legitimizes your business on LinkedIn. And this makes it not only better for you to do business on LinkedIn, but also for other LinkedIn users to come to your page and follow your company so that if you do put out any advertisements or posts, you're better likely to see more engagement from that. The fourth step here is to publish your LinkedIn profile. Before you do that, of course, you want to review to make sure everything is accurate, including the contact information. If you are doing any business, or if anyone reaches out with a business inquiry, you want to make sure you're capturing that, and you want to make sure your contact information is correct, or else you could lose out on some revenue. And then lastly, add collaborators. If you have a marketing team, make sure they're listed as page admins because they'll be the ones going in there maintaining and upkeeping and posting regularly for engagement over the long term. And lastly, optimize. As your business interests change or as your campaigns change, utilize new fresh keywords that reflect those changes and your new alignment. This just, once again, it's part of the upkeep and maintenance process that makes sure that your LinkedIn profile from a company perspective is maintained and up to date.
So how to create a LinkedIn marketing strategy for your business. So setting up a company page is simple, and it takes 2 minutes to do, but you shouldn't just set up a company page just for the fun of it. You need to have a business strategy. When you're doing that, you want to develop SMART goals. So if you develop SMART goals, you want to make sure that whatever you're doing, you could support your business. Your SMART goals have to be specific. So it's basically measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. So when you do set up, a page, it makes sense. You need to do a lot of groundwork, a lot of background information, use intelligence to get the information. And once you've set up that page, it's not done. You need to make sure you have audience personas. You need to make sure, okay, from there, how am I going to target, this particular type of person? That's when I'm going to go over a couple of tips and ideas that you can use. So one of the most important things is have employees connect with your company's page. So if you have employees and they're not engaging with your page, there is no point, because people say if the employees they don't believe in the company, why should we? So that's something that's very important. Secondly, you want to make sure that you publish relatable and valuable content, stuff that people can read and they're very, they can relate to it. It relates to your company, and they read an article and say, hey, that article was great. It actually made sense. You definitely want to make sure your content is valuable. There's a lot of articles you see out there, and after, a 2-3 minute read, it just really serves no purpose. So that's something that you should definitely focus on. Another thing is add rich media. It's great to write a 15-page article, but you need to put images. Images are great. They actually increase your share rate by 75%. So it is something that is very important. Add as many images as you can to tell the story, because again, your post is telling a story. Your marketing strategy or whatever you post or share is part of your story. Another very important thing is to join LinkedIn groups. So if your business sells software, you can join an IT group. If your business is an accountant, you can join the accountants group. Some of these groups have 50, 60,000 people. If you're into the hospitality, there's tons of hospitality groups out there that you could actually join and be a part of and see what's going on, keep up with the current trends. That is definitely very beneficial. The next one is use showcase pages. Basically, you have your main LinkedIn page, but then you can have subdomain pages. So links to different pages if you're creating a new product, highlight something new for the month. You want to make sure you do a subdomain, and those you have a maximum of 10 allowed. So you could use that, but it's a very good thing to showcase different products, promotions. It's really beneficial. The other thing is if you want to go global, if you're trying to go global, then LinkedIn offers 20 different languages. So you could set up your page and then you could have it in different countries. People could buy your products, and it would be really, really good to do that, because these days everybody sells everything everywhere. So it makes more sense to do that. The next one would be LinkedIn algorithms. So like a lot of these platforms, they never share their algorithms, but LinkedIn does. It lets you look at its algorithm. It tells you how it works, and you can actually use their bots to evaluate the amount of spam visitations that come to your page, the user engagement, what they're looking at, how they're looking at. Just try to focus on LinkedIn algorithms, because it's very good, and there's tons of articles out there that'll help you. Once you understand it and you go through a couple of classes on maybe LinkedIn Learning, it'll really be beneficial. The next thing is LinkedIn ads. What you want to do with these ads is you want to use sponsored content. So you also want to use text ads and use sponsored in-mail. So basically, any kind of advertising you can do on LinkedIn, it is not cheap, but it does work, and it will get you a lot of traction. But you can also look at what's trending and try to share some of those things or focus on those things. That will definitely help you. The last thing is, like anything in today's world, you need to use analytics. LinkedIn has amazing analytics. You can go in, you can learn how to do it on LinkedIn Learning. You can learn how to use their analytics and actually say, how can I improve? Where am I getting the best traction? How can I improve my traction? How is my business going to grow? And all these things can be done for free, apart from the ads. If you need to do the ads, they do cost money, but the rest of this can be done free. Next slide, please.
And as was highlighted and touched on at the start of the presentation before we actually got started, LinkedIn, well, one, we're increasingly, the global community is becoming more and more virtual in their interaction. And so social media is a huge component, not only of our regular behavior, but also how we do business and how we portray ourselves professionally. And so I wanted to quickly end this presentation with a few points regarding social media etiquette, which is very important, especially when you're online as frequently as we are these days. And LinkedIn is part of that, and LinkedIn is one of the social media channels. So as we've already touched on, it's ever-present social media in our society these days. There's a lot of recruitment going on LinkedIn and all these other different platforms as well. So keep that in mind. We want to practice good social media etiquette to make sure that we're portraying ourselves in the best light. And as we mentioned, it's encouraged to have multiple different social media accounts, but keep in mind that there are personal social media accounts and there are professional social media accounts. In the context of this LinkedIn webinar, LinkedIn is a professional environment, and so we want to make sure that all of our LinkedIn profiles are professional throughout the entire process. Next slide. If we tie it back to job searching, the impact of improper etiquette on social media can have a huge impact. Recruiters, as we've already mentioned, are more active on LinkedIn than they've ever been. But not only that, when they search for you, they're not searching for you directly off of LinkedIn to start. They're actually searching for you on Google, as we've already mentioned. So your top tier results are very important. And most often, those are your other social medias also, including Facebook, Twitter, in addition to LinkedIn. So 75% of recruiters and hiring managers visit social media profiles in addition to LinkedIn to see how you are and how you're portraying yourself. And 33% of those profiles end up leading to rejections of that candidate to be considered for a position. And that's huge. 1 out of 3 candidates will be rejected based on what their social media is portraying. So keep in mind the 3 big rules here. 1, be mindful. 2, respect everyone on social media. And 3, be honest and accurate. Can't explain that and highlight that enough. Accuracy is very important. Just as it is on your resume, it's very important to be accurate on your LinkedIn and your social media as well.
Moving on to professional social media profiles. So there's things that you can talk about on LinkedIn, and there's things that you should never talk about on LinkedIn. So what's okay on professional social media profiles, and this is generally these days, Facebook, Instagram, any of them, you have to be very careful what you post, because if a recruiter comes on LinkedIn and is looking to hire you, they're not just going to look at your LinkedIn profile. They are going to look at all your whole social media presence. So it is something to be very mindful of. So you want to post stuff about business, industry updates, interesting places or things to do in your city, current events, upcoming conferences, lectures, product, solution marketing. You want to stay away from anything political. You want to stay away from anything that shows bias towards anything. Try to be very neutral with everything you post. And because the recruiter is going to say, okay, this is a great candidate, but if they go to your Facebook or something and they see something that's not shared the right way, they're not going to be happy. So it's something that you have to be very careful. And I know there's TikTok now, and there's a bunch of other platforms. Wherever you share something, if you type your name in, you can find it. So just be careful what you post, when you post, how you post. This is super, super important for everybody. What's not okay to post is, one of the biggest things people say, I just got laid off from my job and I hated my manager. Never do that. Nobody's going to hire you for that. Absolutely not. If you're on LinkedIn, do not talk about your family. Do not talk about your wife, your children. LinkedIn is a professional profile. Do not talk about, don't use any vulgar language. Do not talk about, oh, I just got out of my 5-year relationship. No, none of that. You want to make sure it's very professional. You are here to get a job or to run your business, not to tell people your life history. So that's something to be key. And anything political, when you share something, make sure you click on it and you read the article and you actually, comment on it, and it makes sense to your profile and your future. It's not just something that you wanted to share. So I think that's something to be very mindful of. Next slide. Lastly, a whole summary of this LinkedIn webinar is, you want to make sure you update your LinkedIn profile, make it a professional habit. Just, whenever something new happens, you want to update it. You want to use it as a tool to entice recruiters. But here's the thing to be very, very, very careful about is when you update your job status, you want to make sure that that's private. You don't want to share that with everyone, because if you are thinking of looking for a new job and you keep updating it, say, your old employer will be like, oh, Ali's looking for a new job. So that's something you can find that in, settings and privacy. You want to make sure you take care of that. You want people to learn more about you. You want them to see what you're sharing. You want them to see what you're doing, what you're not doing. So it's important to update your profile, whether it be personal or business. It's very important. With your business, it's even more important because you're selling a product and you want to be in front of people. You want them to know that this business cares. This business wants you to buy because they stand for something. The next point is we're offering 2 months free of LinkedIn Learning. We will provide a sign-up sheet after this webinar, and you can sign up and then you can get 2 months free of LinkedIn Learning. No matter what part of your career you're in, even if you're starting your business, you're a student, you're an intern, you're in a professional job that you love, LinkedIn Learning has something for everyone. If you are in a business and you wanted to do a Shopify course for 4 hours, that would be amazing. If you wanted to learn how to use Microsoft Word, how to use Excel, how to use Python, you could learn any of these skills. Spend these 2 months upskilling. It will really be beneficial for you, no matter what part of the world you're in, what profession you're in, what you're doing. It's very important. And you have a choice to pick between 7,000 different courses. And once you complete those courses, you can get certificates. You can put them on your LinkedIn profile. When you put them on your LinkedIn profile, you stand out to recruiters. And if you wanted to do like project management or one of those, you get PDUs. So everything counts on your LinkedIn profile. So my last suggestion is make use of it, whether it be LinkedIn Learning, LinkedIn Premium, regular LinkedIn, LinkedIn Sales Navigator, whatever it is, use LinkedIn. But the first key is learn how to use the regular LinkedIn make a standard profile, maximize that before you go and try all these other cool tools, because the free version can do a lot of amazing things if you maximize on how to use your profile.
On our closing note, I would really like to thank Ali Khan and Kamil, and a big thank you for their incredible insight and expertise and being so flexible and accommodating us in this time slot. A big thank you again to all our listeners and institution for their participation and for coming together to support us in organizing this series. We hope that the information presented will assist you in better handling and overcoming the challenges you face and allow you to be better prepared for any opportunities that may arise. Have a good night.